One of the biggest issues that we have and the biggest challenges we have in this industry is finding good, solid, foundational research that we can all use as businesses to help us form our decisions on what we're going to do in the future. It's sadly lacking in the glamping and unique holiday rental industry, and that's why it's so important that I go out and speak to professionals and individual businesses that have a really brilliant insight and that can help us make our decisions. So welcome to episode 25. Glamping and unique holiday rentals are surging in popularity with the growing desire of customers to book holidays that deliver an experience. They are also the new business of choice for those wanting to improve their work-life balance. So how do you build a strong business like this that gives you the life you need and a great investment? I'm Sarah Riley, and I want to share what I've discovered after being immersed in this industry for over 20 years to inspire you to find out more about what's going on. Welcome, this is the business of glamping and unique holiday rentals. Hello, thank you for joining me. Really great to have you here. As I said in the introduction, one of the biggest challenges we have for this industry is the lack of formal research. This has been highlighted quite a few times in various other research projects, which said that glamping and the glamping industry deserved more research and should have had more research, particularly since the financial meltdown in 2008-2009, when it showed that actually it was very strong and bucked the trend. They wanted to know why that happened. However, we haven't as yet had extra research done because it costs a lot of money. It's very resource intensive, and at the moment this industry isn't quite big enough to demand that kind of attention. We have seen recently that a corporation is selling some research for thousands of dollars, but for many of us, that's actually well outside of our reach. So we still need input from others within the industry who can help us piece things together to give us a picture of where things are going and what decisions we need to make as business owners to address the trends and how guests are booking and what hosts are saying are the challenges, and really what the industry is saying is the most popular forms of glamping and luxury camping and unique stays and all of that. So this is why I always make it a real priority of mine to try to speak to a lot of specialists within this industry and people who know what's going on. And that's why I recently spoke to Claire Wills from Cool Stays. Now, Cool Stays is a really interesting company. They've got some fantastic collections which showcase really the very best of what's available in the UK and Europe and pretty much worldwide, along the lines of extraordinary places to stay. So their accommodation includes things like quirky properties, gypsy caravans, shepherd's huts, botels, which is quite nice, that's boats which are hotels, and lighthouses and windmills and all kinds of other quirky stays. And it was founded back in 2013 to showcase these properties, and as a result, they have managed to collect a lot of data and a lot of insight into the way the industry is moving. So Claire is one of the 4 directors at Cool Stays, and having been passionate about travelling and exploring the world most of her life, she realised after children she needed a bit of a career change, but she decided that a really brilliant way of matching up her desire of travel and also finding an income was to work in a business that a business contact was setting up. So she lent a hand for a few months, and then of course the rest is history. She's still there now, and very happily she gave me a lot of her time to share her insights and the insights of the company on where the industry is going right now and what we should all be paying attention to in terms of the game changers, how glamping has evolved, the most popular structures they're starting to see, and generally the growth of the industry. So I finish up asking Claire in this interview what advice she'd give someone who's thinking of getting involved in a glamping business or unique holiday rental. So without any delay, let's jump on over to the interview. Claire, so amazing that you've joined us today. Thank you so much to come on and share your knowledge with us. And I wanted to talk to you today about the industry and glamping and what you're seeing as a business in terms of, where things are going, trends, and if you can give our listeners any tips. So, Claire, glamping has evolved so much over the last few years, and it's been going really properly since 2007. That's when Google really noticed an upturn in the traffic from people looking for glamping options online.
Yeah.
So what's your overview? What have you seen in terms of the industry?
So Course Days was set up in 2013, and our mission was to really help people find unique accommodation. So just somewhere extraordinary where that property is just as much a part of your holiday as where you're actually going. So glamping has always been a part of that since the get-go. So we've always had glamping properties on the site, but we also have other stuff as well. But what we've noticed over the last sort of 6 years is that glamping is becoming a bigger part of that. So we've got over 500 glamping properties now. And when I say glamping, that sort of started off as things like domes and safari tents, but now shepherd's huts are hugely popular. Tree houses are massive. That's one of our most popular collections. And then all sorts of amazing stuff that very ingenious owners have gone to set up as well. So converted horse boxes, converted buses. We even have converted boats on land that people can stay in. So it's definitely a trend that's here to stay, and something that we thought might be a bit of a fad, but it is not at all. It's definitely something that our site users are demanding, and they're becoming more and more discerning about what they do when they get there as well.
So it's really interesting that you talk about tree houses being one of the most popular forms of glamping that you have seen in your own data.
Yes.
So is that across the UK? Is that do your listings go into Europe? How does that work?
We have worldwide. We have tree houses in New Zealand, India, Europe, and the UK. Mainly in the UK, but we have 90 roughly across the world. And it just captures people's imaginations. People just love the whole idea of it. I think tree houses really take us back to our childhood. I think it makes everyone feel like a big kid again. And then if you do have your kids with you, then that's something really joyous to share. And these structures, we have very much traditional tree houses that are built within the trees, but lots of other people have been ingenious and put kind of cabins and pods and sort of bespoke buildings within clusters of trees. So they're not tree houses in the traditional sense, but they can still be marketed as such. But they are the gift that keeps on giving. As soon as we put a tree house, particularly if it has a hot tub or an outdoor bath or an outdoor shower, onto any of our social media platforms or a listing, then it generally goes bonkers.
Wow. Well, that's really interesting to hear as well, because we have quite a few debates in our community around hot tubs and the
Yes.
issues around regulations and keeping it
Yes.
safe and health and safety, but also the impact it has environmentally. But that
Absolutely.
in contrast to the fact that customers really want it, and it really helps to get a place booked out, especially if there's no natural swimming or beaches or rivers or anything nearby. I mean, have you got any thoughts around that?
Oh, I absolutely do. Obviously, sustainability and being eco-friendly is hugely important to travellers and travel brands alike. And I don't know the most environmentally friendly way of doing a hot tub, but what I can tell you is it's such a pull. we've been working with an amazing property owner in Somerset, and he was one of the first to have a kind of shepherd's hut retreat. So you can find it on Cool Stays if you want to have a look. And he found that he was no longer the only one doing shepherd's huts. There were lots springing up. There are some beautiful bespoke shepherd's huts that you can buy, and more people were doing that, and what he found was, rather than being a big fish in a small pond, he was becoming a smaller fish, and he needed to do something to kind of boost his business. So he invested in a wooden hot tub. He invested in an incredible photo shoot, and you'll see the result. It's the lead image on the Shepherd's Hut retreat. I shall make sure I share it with you. And this incredible picture of somebody sitting in a hot tub with a glass of wine looking at a sunset sent his inquiries through the roof. And then again, the engagement that we had on social was astounding. I know the word viral is bandied around quite a lot, but that's kind of the closest that we've got to viral, I would say. But obviously I know from staying in places, I've been lucky enough to stay in a few tree houses and stay in properties with hot tubs. I know that they are a pain. I know that the regulation around them and the cost is huge. So a lot of owners seem to offset that by it being an added extra. So you don't necessarily use it. Or if you do use it, it's an extra charge. I know we're staying somewhere over half term where it would be £40 to use the hot tub with the logs and things. The treehouse hot tub dog friendly Trinity is pretty hard to beat in terms of inquiry levels, it has to be said.
It's really interesting, all of that, what you were saying there about the hot tub giving an extra element of uniqueness to, from a business point of view, to the consumer, so that they choose you rather than someone else. This is particularly great to do when competition is increasing. But also that whole thing around the photography that you mentioned there, and the fact that the owner who put that hot tub in place, they then commissioned a great photography shoot, and that focused not on the fact that it has certain facilities like a hot tub. What it did instead is it focused on the benefit for the consumer, so they can actually see themselves sitting in that hot tub, drinking that wine, looking at that view. And I think that's so important for any photo shoot, any owner, anyone. I mean, is that something that you see across the board when people list their pictures?
Absolutely. It will. At Cool Stays, I deal with a lot of the inbound inquiries. So people coming to us to find out about listing on the site. And I turn down 80% of people who approach us, pretty much mainly based on photo quality. And it's incredibly frustrating, because often owners, they've gone to the effort of putting this amazing place together. They've spent a lot of money, adding the finishing touches and the unique selling points. They've done all of that. So the idea of then shelling out on photography seems like an added cost, but it literally pays you back. I cannot stress this enough. If there's one thing that you should invest your money in, it's a decent photo shoot. And it's kind of not getting your mate to do it, and not doing it on your iPhone, and not getting somebody who doesn't, it's a real professional who understands the lighting, who'll come and do it at different times of day. So the guy that took the photographs of the Shepherd's Hut retreat, I've recommended to quite a few of our owners, and I can tell you can see tangible results in conversions and in inquiry levels. So
I've seen exactly the same as well, where members have used particular pictures and put them out there, and they've been either rejected by booking channels, or they just haven't had the impact that they were hoping for. And particularly around their website getting hits, the bounce rate is quite high, that kind of thing. And as soon as they invest, which is it can seem like a big investment, but as soon as you invest, then it makes it all so different. And when that's your shop window effectively. Those
Mm.
pictures are part of your shop window. Why wouldn't you make that investment?
Well, absolutely. And I mean, a lot of agencies, are very savvy, and they have photographers that they send out, and they'll take photographs of your property or what have you. But that means that the photographs won't necessarily belong to you. So that's another important thing to remember, is you need to make sure the photo shoot is done for you, and that they belong to you.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of licensing issues there between who has the copyright, between the photographer and the owner who's paid for the work to be done. And as you said, if there is a booking platform that actually gets the photographer to go out, and it's really important to do the homework there.
Yes.
If anyone's got any queries about that, I'll actually share a link in the show notes as well.
Well, and if I've got, a few recommended photographers, if that would be useful, who I use regularly, who I think are amazing. And the other thing as well is that photography for press. So you've gone to this trouble of creating an amazing glamping site, and you've got your grand launch. And remember, the press are always looking for something new to talk about. If you don't then have the photography to back it up, then it's a non-starter. I can't pitch to press and all of our press contacts unless I've got the whole package. So that's important to remember as well.
Yeah, and the full assets as well, not just pictures, but words, and everything that makes, as you say, whets the appetite of the media to grab that bit of content at the time that they need that content.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting that you said about hot tubs and water in general. One of the trends that we're definitely seeing is requests for, places to swim, do wild swimming nearby, outdoor swimming, open water swimming. So it's like making sure you've done your research as to what is around you, and making sure you're marketing that to people as well.
Absolutely.
It's definitely something that is becoming more and more popular, and running trails as well. So the whole kind of clean living, outdoorsy weekend away is, and we have lots of owners that are doing lovely packages where they've got nutritionists in, or trail runners to come and help train you, yoga weekends, that sort of thing, and anything that's a little bit different to what might be going on at a glamping site down the road.
And as far as I can tell from my own data, from my own system, this is only going to ever increase, because as we get more saturated by data and office working and computer systems and the grind of the 9 to 5, people are going to be wanting to find escape, and they're going to be wanting those wellness, forest bathing, as you said, yoga, all of those things to really help them unwind during their holiday time. They're multitasking their holiday time. It isn't just going away, having a break. It's actually looking at how they can improve their health while they've got some time to do that. So it's really great that you say that.
Well, getting the whole family off screens as well. I have children who are very attached to their screens if I let them be. But if we go on a glamping weekend, then there is no Wi-Fi often, or even if there is, we just have a family rule that the screens are away, because we're out doing something different, spending time together in a different way, and really kind of going off grid. And that's something that, even though there might be a bit of kicking and screaming and gnashing of teeth to begin with, they're actually quite happy with it once it's happened.
Yeah, and we have exactly the same in our family. And we feel that actually when the devices are down, our kids come back to us. They completely change to the way we always knew them. And it's so nice to get that conversation going properly again, and their personalities come out and they start being cheeky, and because they're looking for things to do. I love it. And it does bring out a massive debate actually about Wi-Fi, and some owners saying, no Wi-Fi, I want them to, wind down and not actually access Wi-Fi. Whereas others say, well, actually it's what the customer wants. They want the Wi-Fi, so I'm going to make sure they have it. And so there is a big debate in the industry about that at the moment. Have you got any thoughts around whether an owner should do that?
I have heard that, but I say, what we're really, really lucky to work closely with our owners, because we're kind of small enough to be able to do that and to be able to have that personal contact. And I say it's completely up to the owner. The owner's got their little slice of heaven generally, and it's kind of their rules. So if that's what they think their customers want, and they want to provide that, so then you might have been outside all day, but you might want to chill out with Netflix in the evening or what have you, then that's down to them. A lot of people are very reliant on their devices and wouldn't want to completely go off grid. You may well be putting people off from booking you if you don't have that option, but you can always choose to not use it.
As you said, that's down to the host to understand their customer, and it's their
Yes.
decision uniquely, really,
Yes.
rather than actually following a trend. So in terms of trends, have you seen anything around special events and the customer booking around special events such as birthdays and hen do's and family get-togethers and things like that? Have you seen anything around that?
Absolutely. I mean, we have other collections on the site. So we have a kind of group accommodation collection, but within that we do have glamping. So we've got a lot of big houses, for example, that also have tree houses or shepherd's huts on site. So kind of mixing up the accommodation types to provide a bit of variety, and then obviously give people a little bit of privacy as well. With the glamping accommodation that takes big groups, they're definitely seeing a trend in inquiries for everything from friends having reunions to 30th, 40th, 50th. So that applies to birthdays and anniversaries. Hen do's. Lots of people are, lots of people's weddings are actually a little bit more like festivals now. So it's like the whole weekend spent celebrating with the happy couple, and often glamping is a big part of that. People are really, really enjoying that whole vibe. You've always got the weather to contend with, but owners are coming up with really ingenious solutions to that as well. So a lot of our owners are kind of converting barns into celebration spaces. There's lots of times they will have kind of communal kitchens and things like that for people to use.
The growth of glamping as you see it, and from your perspective, again, as having a bird's eye view, are you seeing the industry as becoming saturated, or are you seeing it just becoming a little bit more mature and people needing to, rather than just slinging a bell tent or a shepherd's hut on their land, to really think about it in a bit more of a sophisticated way before they start a business? What are your views around that?
Well, it's really interesting. So we met at the glamping show, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I spoke to loads of people who were very much at the beginning of their journey there. So they were looking at different structures that they might buy, whether it be a bell tent or a pod or whatever it would be. And I think there's always room for people who maybe own a campsite or a static caravan site already to go and add some different varieties of structures to stay in. So for people who can't be bothered with all the kerfuffle of setting up their own tent and taking all their own stuff along, and there's definitely room for that. I think there's more. I wouldn't say the market's saturated at all. But then also within the glamping show, I met people who were really in that maturing hospitality business. So they're wanting to add something really, really different. I think one of the stats that I heard whilst I was at the glamping show is, some of the tree houses that we list, you're talking 150,000 plus to build. So that's not something that's going to be available to all owners. They're not going to have the land, and they're not going to have the financial resources to invest in that. So there's a whole kind of spectrum really of glamping from putting a bell tent up just to add a bit of variety to your lovely campsite, right up to building a bespoke eco cabin, in the woods somewhere, and everything in between. It's definitely, I don't feel like it's saturating. I definitely think there's more to do, but it is becoming, I suppose, more ordinary. We have a collection on the website called Quirky, and it's kind of, I suppose it probably used to be all of our glamping would have been in there in some way or other, and that is just not the case anymore. So the geodesic domes and things like that are becoming a little bit more ordinary because there's more of them around, obviously. So definitely, to make yourself stand out at the kind of top end, you need to be doing something amazing. Um, Conversions seem to be huge because I think that kind of fits in with all the sustainability stuff. So upcycling and recycling old vehicles and things like that is really popular.
So, in terms of the quirkiness, do you think it's really valuable that someone who might be thinking about getting involved in this, that they actually sit down and really start to explore their own imaginations about what they could set up, that maybe they have assets for that they could change and upgrade and reuse, but also maybe that they could come up with new design ideas, something that they think could be quite powerful? Is that worth it, do you think? I mean, it's
I,
a lot of
de-
effort,
I,
but
well, I definitely think it is, but it's quite often when I get the backstories to owners, which is my favourite part of the job. It really is the amount of amazing people that I've spoken to over the last 6 years. It always starts with some sort of idea, some passion. Yeah, if you're a farmer looking to diversify your business and you're looking at glamping, then basically you're moving into hospitality, and that isn't for everyone. So there has to be an idea coming from somewhere. Um, so, one of my owners had an old gypsy caravan that was left on site in her farm, and she's basically built an entire business off the back of that, where she now has a whole little gorgeous little kind of dingly dell in a valley with a river and a fire pit, and she's got 3 or 4 of these caravans that she then rents out, and that's really popular with hen dos and things like that. So there's always a spark that comes from somewhere, and it could be that we've got an owner that's developed what he calls the hobbit holes up in the Lake District, because obviously he's a fan of that. It kind of depends on what your passion is, really. Other owners have very much gone down minimal Scandi design. That's hugely popular. Um, so lots of glass, lots of solar panels, and lots of minimal furniture. It really is about what the owner is passionate about, and what they like.
so really focus on your personality as an individual, really go for what interests you and what you're passionate about, and explore putting that into a business idea. And that, because there's only one of you, I suppose, is going to make your offering very unique and very different. And that will help you maybe stand the test of time. Would you say that's quite fair?
Yes, absolutely, but also don't put all of that effort in and then kind of build it and hope that they will come. You've got to have the marketing to go with it. You can't kind of build this amazing thing, and then not get it out there. And obviously, a lot of business owners aren't necessarily marketing experts. That's totally fair enough. You can't be amazing at everything. Well, lots of people are very good at it, but ask for help. Obviously, that's what you're here for too. And a couple of my owners have done your course and really enjoyed it, and found it really, really useful. But yeah, it's like ask for help. If you're not if the amount of times I hear owners say I'm not really into social media, Instagram is huge in terms of attracting guests. We've noticed this more and more. This is definitely a trend that I'm seeing. Almost Facebook is fading a little bit in our mind. I don't know if you found the same.
Slightly
Um,
some elements of it are, but I could go on and on and on about that one, because I use it for my own business, and without
yeah,
Facebook my business wouldn't be what it is, and it wouldn't be
yeah,
growing the way it is. So it really depends on how strategically you use it, but the evidence is there that people who are going to, or are looking to book somewhere, because there's this element, they need the trust to be able to give money to this business, that they usually go to Facebook just to check out if they have a business page, and just to check
right,
out
yeah,
how up to date that business page might be. So even just having a presence is really important, because
yes,
people have that opportunity to find a bit more out about you, and you don't actually know which of the things you've done might lead to a sale. But as we know, Facebook is connected now with Instagram. It's owned by Facebook. And also that means that if you want to make the most of Facebook ads, which is just epic, then yes, you need to have some kind of presence on Facebook. But that whole thing is, it's about being strategic and targeted with what you're doing. But
absolutely. One of owners that we work with when they first set up their business. So they had a nursery business that was you know, it was, they had come to the end of the road for that, which left them with all these kind of outbuildings, which they've converted into really good fun glamping offerings. And the owner there very much has been learning as she's been going, and she set up a competition on Facebook, which somebody won, and they won a weekend away. But off the back of that, she feels very strongly that actually that first season was booked up on the back of that. So I'm not underplaying it. I guess I'm just saying Instagram is also a good channel and something that owners report that people find properties on. So the hashtags that you use are really, really important, particularly like cabins and tree houses. If you've got an Instagram account, you know, start following a few hashtags that apply to you and see the kind of things that come up. And the engagement that you get is really quite astonishing sometimes. It's just another channel, I think, that people shouldn't overlook, because it's very visual, and that's obviously how you attract a lot of people to your glamping site.
So what would you say to someone who is planning to get involved in the glamping industry and the glamping scene? What's your view about where it is, and what would you say to them if they asked you that?
Oh, it's a huge question that we could talk about for ages. But I would say that the glamping trend is here to stay. But some of the more traditional holiday accommodation providers are putting it in their offering as well. So you're going to find more and more hotels, B&Bs, inns, you know, with the glamping options added to them. The amount of hotels that are kind of building cabins in their grounds or tree houses in their grounds. So the competition is going to grow. So what you are going to be offering has to be something good and something special. But on a very basic level, it's just doing your research, making sure you know exactly what's in your county and what's in your area, and trying to offer something a little bit different. You know, and there's stuff that you would have a lot more advice on in terms of planning and permissions. It's kind of knowing what you're facing, and it's getting the marketing up and running as soon as possible. So I've seen lots of owners really successfully sort of set up their social media before their properties actually open, just to start building that audience, and sending almost, you know, the glamping site as it's being built, just to kind of entice people in. You don't want it all to be up and running and open and then start your marketing. You want to get marketing as soon as possible. Go with what you know, go with what your passions are, and go with what you enjoy.
Yeah. And as we were saying before, that whole, if you build it, will they come? Well, of course they'll come if you tell them where you are and if you become visible.
Absolutely.
But the effort is there. It's not just to put the effort into building a service and making the service impeccable. It's also about putting the effort equally into making sure your shop window is there on the internet and attracting people to you.
Absolutely. And there are people like Cool Stays who've spent years making their website look as lovely as possible to be able to amplify your story to an audience who are already looking for extraordinary places to stay. So don't think you have to do it all yourself. Because there are ways of amplifying your story and reaching an audience that there's just no way you will be able to reach just on your own.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you again so much, Claire. This is wonderful. And it's just so nice to have you on, and also to share your wisdom and expertise. And I look forward to seeing you hopefully at the next show.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely be at the glamping show. And I'm loving the Facebook feed. It's just so interesting to see what people's issues are. It kind of helps us keep in touch with exactly what it's like on the ground and what it's like actually running a glamping business.
Yeah, indeed. There are many challenges, but also so many exciting things and so many exciting successes. And we're really pleased that we can all share it all together here. So, you know, keep listening and go and check out Claire, and all the links are in the show notes. That's over on episode 25. That's inspiredcamping.com/025. And we'll share all the links there so you can go and check it all out. So thanks again, Claire, and see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.